To go. All right. 3, 2, 1. Episode 4 of the I Love Norfolk show, hosted by Inman Realty. Today we're here with John with the famous Handsome Biscuit.
Right on.
And like usual, we're here to tell your story. Feel free to go back as far back as you want to. If you want to include middle school, you're welcome to. So, just kind of where did... maybe what led to even the conception of restaurants? What brought you to this is what I want to create and put into the world?
Great questions. I think, a life of experiences. But
Sure.
I grew up in Virginia Beach, moved away right after high school
Okay.
For a number of years.
Where to?
New York City.
New York City.
Yep.
Was that cooking related?
It was not cooking related. There's not much that I do that's cooking related,
Okay.
including at home even nowadays. But I moved to New York City, did a whole bunch of things from racing cars, worked in the airlines. Yeah, started a little business there.
Sidetrack
as well.
there. What's the racing cars thing?
I had this idea, and was never into racing cars growing up, but trip or two to Costa Rica, kind of spanking some cars around
Sure.
some dirt roads, and found a passion. And so
is this like all-wheel drive race, like
no,
off-road?
that's just what sort of sparked it. This was
Okay.
all Formula style, so open wheel, single seat type stuff. So ended up working on a pit crew, and then it was a fun little time.
Okay.
Ended up being a nice, humbling little story.
Sure.
Shoot for the stars, and maybe you'll land on the moon. But anyhow, so did a bunch of that for a few years.
Okay.
Very expensive sport, lots of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some of the biggest adrenaline rushes I've had. But also worked in the airlines, but worked in some top tier New York City restaurants. So got a little bit of exposure and interest there. Not a ton of interest, but
walk me. When you say you got some experience in some top tier, like how did you even get into restaurants? Where did that come from?
So I worked at a restaurant that was here in downtown Norfolk called La Galleria for a short bit.
Okay.
And right at the end of high school.
Sure.
And then wanted to race cars, figured flying would be a good idea to sort of figure that out. Had a buddy whose dad was a pilot
Sure.
for Continental Airlines at the time. And so one thing led to another, and I ended up in New York City.
All right.
And when I sort of realized that flying all over the world was not going to help me as much as I wanted for racing, that sort of my airlines career quickly crashed.
Okay.
That's maybe a bad pun.
Sure.
And so then looked for something to keep making money. And
Sure.
so that's how the restaurant started.
Gotta pay some bills.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So worked in some restaurants up there, all front of the house type stuff. I never got good with a knife. But
Okay.
So moved back here a number of years later, wanted to get involved in real estate. Started a little small construction company.
Mm-hmm. I think we were talking a little bit beforehand that we actually had run into each other.
Yeah.
Before I got into real estate, you were doing that because I went to ODU for civil engineering, but at the same time I was helping two flippers, and I think I went to one of your projects because I was highly interested in green building. It was actually part of my minor at ODU, but I ended up at one of your projects.
Yeah,
So talk a little bit more about, because I think it's interesting to hear people's history. Where did the green building thing come into play?
So let's see, how far back do we go here?
As far as you want to. Yeah.
Sort of been around construction all my life. My dad is super, super hands-on. Never had a construction company or anything like that,
Okay.
but very hands-on, fixing our house, fixing a neighbor's house, things like that.
Sure.
Over time, so learned a lot from him, and had a familiarity and comfort with it. So when I moved back from New York, started a small commercial lending company, learned some good lessons in diversity there, and so as that sort of crashed, as the market crashed, I said, I know construction. I'd
Sure.
like to be in development, sort of design, all of those sort of
Okay.
aspects, and so started the construction company, and really did a whole lot of flips for a while, probably 60 or so flips in a couple
Goodness
of years.
gracious. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
and then really wanted to kind of move forward towards new construction, and so found some opportunities there, built
Sure.
a few houses, and then wanted to get sort of just really more and more high performance.
Okay.
And so
Are you familiar with Passive House?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
very,
how super
high
tight.
performance.
Yeah.
Yep. So we sort of looked at all the rating systems out there, and adopted LEED, which
Yep.
at the time, and I don't follow it that much anymore, but was certainly the most strenuous at the time. And so as far as ratings matrices, and so we just took the leap and started building homes and had a lot of fun. We generally
That's
built
a tough one
design-centric.
because they're really restrictive on a lot of like how far you can get because if you're trying to go up on the top lead, like they'll restrict on how the distance of some of the stuff that you source.
Yes.
Which I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really, I can't even remember all of it at this point, but there are a lot of different facets to the program.
Mm-hmm.
So built houses for a while, had a lot of fun, had a lot of tours, a lot of people through. One thing we found was that frequently people were more interested in spending their hard-earned dollars on design as opposed to high performance or green, and it's
Totally
really
get
interesting.
it. Yeah, I mean, there's I'm sure you figured this out that one of the things we were studying at ODU is that it's sometimes even difficult to get appraisers to build in the value for some of the things that you do, because if you say you do a 2x6 wall or even a double stud wall, there's no like measurable impact on the evaluation of the house, or at least there hasn't been for a long time. Right. And so if you're looking at, and this is true with any business, you're looking at how do I make it profitable, right? And if the end consumer is not willing to pay for it, man, that's really difficult.
Right.
Because that's one of the things we were talking about with Dylan over, at Pendulum 5 Mains. It's really cool. I think it's fascinating, right, that we have an environment right now, and really have had it for a while, where there is a market, right? Like there's a market for Handsome Biscuit,
right,
that may not have existed 30 years ago,
right,
which is amazing, right? Because you get to have this passion and this vision that you want to produce into the world, and you may not even have the opportunity to do it without maybe social media or something like that.
Right.
So, but little sidetrack
no, it's
there.
interesting how things sort of ebb and flow and evolve. And so, so continued doing that for a while, and then got started a small commercial cleaning company. We
all over the place.
Yeah. It's pretty varied experience, I guess you should say.
But one of the questions I had to ask was actually, because I think any small business person experiences failures to get to where they're at, right?
Yes.
I know that one, like in Shark Tank, they talk about, they'll ask people, like, tell me about your failures that got you here, because they don't want to invest in someone that hasn't got kicked in the gut a few times. So, I mean, I think we're obviously hitting on some of the things that you've had to go, all right, well, I'm going to try this. All right, that didn't work out.
Yep.
I'm going to try this. So in that line of thinking, going in line with what you're talking about, is what would you say are the most measurable things that you tried and it didn't work out that maybe led you to restaurants?
Sure. Wow.
Big
That's
question.
a good one. So was enjoying the. I guess really it's sort of learning about two things. One, business in general, and then and the way they work. And I talk a little bit more about that. And then also, what sort of drives you, what your passion is. And so for me, on the first piece, from the business end of things. When I sort of started with Handsome Biscuit and started into the restaurant thing, I had the construction company and the commercial cleaning company operating, and both great for different reasons. Some of the challenges with the construction company are, it takes a lot of capital to manage, and really the model for growth, or at least aggressive growth, is to continually go all in financially. So you're continually leveraging yourself very, very highly. Developers are frequently sort of the canary in the coal mine of the downturn of economies, because they're holding land, trying to, So, and then in the commercial cleaning piece of it, it was great. From a business standpoint, a very different model, and there were long-term contracts.
Sure.
Again, sort of challenging to grow as it's done more through attrition, I guess it feels like. But really didn't have a huge passion there. And so when I found restaurants, really initially didn't intend to take it on full time. But as I became really more and more impassioned, wound down the construction company, sold the cleaning company, and just kind of rock and roll every day now.
What was the first restaurant that you...
Handsome Biscuit.
Okay, and the one over there off of Collie, right?
Colonial, yeah.
Colonial, sorry.
Yep.
And then you guys now own the building across the street from it, don't you?
We don't own it, but we do lease it.
Okay.
Yep, and so we put... it was a convenience store that had been there for many years, and the owner retired and was moving on, and so... we leased it and quickly converted it into a humble little central kitchen. So we produce out of there all of, for example, the sauces and processed roast meats, things like that, and then we ship them out to the stores.
Okay. And now you own this spot over here by ODU.
Yep.
And you own the place on Colonial. Is there any other places that you have or other potential restaurants that
my business partner Dave Hausman and I, we also have Toast, which is just down the street from the original Handsome Biscuit.
Been there as well. Lovely place.
And that's it.
Now you host a decent amount of musical venues out of that.
We do.
Which is I thought was fascinating. How did that develop?
So it's really in Dave's pedigree. He had Relative Theory Records on Granby Street downtown years ago, and sort of got into it then, had some live music there, and then he sort of moved that over to The Boot, which was on 21st Street for a while, and had that for about 5 years and did a good bit of live music there. It kind of took a backseat for a while as we started Handsome Biscuit. And then Toast really has the space to be able to do it, and so kind of came back alive.
Super cool. So one of the things that Sterling and I were talking about prior was colors. So one of the things that the only reason I actually initially stopped by Handsome Biscuit was like, holy, that's a really bright orange.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with this gray orange color scheme? Like, who came up with that?
I think sure it was me. I really do enjoy design in general of physical structures and things. I like using sort of uncommon materials, or at least maybe common materials in uncommon places.
Sure.
And part of that is it's every space we design, and really that I have helped design in the past.
Sure.
From homes and things, they're designed with high energy and sort of happiness in mind. And so I think
i.e. we'll show the bathroom here in a minute, but that was one of the first things Sterling pointed out to me is they have a disco ball in the bathroom.
We do. Yeah. It's fun. You can have your own little party in there.
But it got a little joy when you're doing a number two.
Right. There you go. So it's funny. So that as we sat around probably drinking some beers, thinking about I was thinking about sort of what to paint that. I mean, we thought blaze orange. We thought we definitely wanted to make a statement. At that point in time, you may be aware Park Place in general, I think, is undergoing a little bit of a renaissance.
Absolutely.
Just reinvigorating some life. Just got some new paved streets.
Mm-hmm.
But
you got those new apartments coming down the street.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of interest in movement there, but it was at the time sort of decidedly on the wrong side of the tracks for retail. There wasn't much going on there. That particular location had been abandoned, I think, for years.
What was the spot down the street from you that closed not too long ago, but was something kitchen? It was right. It's right next to the tracks. What's it called?
Chop House.
Yeah, that was a delightful place.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they closed. They closed a few years ago now, and now we're getting in a neighbor that's into beer, which will be exciting, coming soon. But so wanted to make a statement there, sort of with the building, and thought, it was sort of from a base capital, sort of, it was already designed pretty well for 3 colors, and so just kind of went with it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. One of the other pieces, so business-wise, and this may be able to speak a little bit more on, is I think people will notice immediately when they go into Handsome Biscuit is the limited menu. You don't have a big one.
Right.
So explore that a little bit more.
From the very beginning, Dave and I really wanted to do a couple major things. One, we wanted to, as we phrased it at the time, we really wanted to add energy into the food scene. We felt like it was just a little ho-hum.
Yeah.
And another thing we want to do is just create freedom from choice. As I think through the 90s, early 2000s, restaurants in general kept going towards, the smaller the tweezers you used to garnish your dish, the better the food was, and the more options you had, and something to everyone. And we just didn't really subscribe to that.
You want to be a Golden Corral? Nope.
Right. They do have some good fried okra. But,
I would agree. I remember growing up going to fried okra, and then soft serve as a kid. But but I think what you're hitting on though is that one, humans in general, we kind of freeze up when there's so much choice. 2, there's this decidedly, like if you look at one of the things I study is marketing, and one of the things that they talk about is if you have too many options, sometimes a consumer won't even choose you. Right. And the other thing is in the midst of too much complexity, your brain seeks the simplest option. So, I mean, how many sandwiches do you have up there?
Now we have 11. We started with 8.
Yeah. But I mean, it's pretty it's pretty simple.
Right.
Right. You only have, how many drink options do you have?
Depends on location, but now we have the Boylan's Fountain here, and then really a house soda, coffee, orange juice. That's,
right. A few local beers.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
So I think from a study of like human decision making, I look at it and I go, that's brilliant.
Right. I'm glad it turned out that way because we did what we like, and
it just happened to fall online. The other thing is, if you own a restaurant or if you know a little bit about the business model of restaurants, inventory is a killer, or it can be a killer.
Absolutely.
And so having literally almost everything on a sweet potato biscuit and very limited options allows you guys to be very lean.
Yes.
So, I mean, was that a decision you guys decided from the front, or it just happened to
No,
come out
we definitely did decide that from the front. And there was minor discussion that pretty quickly got shuffled off about should we have a buttermilk biscuit? People aren't going to... And really, Dave is the genius behind the menu in general, but the biscuit is really designed to go on a sandwich, to have other accoutrements with it. And he said, look, this is what we're going to commit to, and it's worked well.
Yeah.
I will say, recently we have added buns to the list. And we don't make those in-house, but they're killer, and they really sort of...
I saw a little uproar on Instagram about it.
Yeah,
like, what is going on here?
Yeah, of course, there's always people. But the biscuits aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But, it depends. We're very focused on experience. And if you're not looking for a breakfast or brunch experience, and maybe you don't want a biscuit at night, a bun can be a good option.
It's experiences for sure, I think, what keeps people coming back. Because I remember the very first time I came in and got I think it was the Hella Fitzgerald, and I had these two enormously thick pieces of bacon.
Right.
The gravy. I think it's the gravy, right? It's the gravy, exactly. And the like an enormous fried, and for me, chicken thigh, right, which is way more moist.
Yes, definitely.
The batter is so good and so crunchy. It's just wonderful, and it was. I mean, that's what brought me back. Was like, holy crap, this is amazing. There we go.
There's your bun.
There's deliciousness. We'll have to get a close up on that. But it was just like, man, this is awesome. I was telling Sterling before, there are a couple of restaurants, and unfortunately one of them shut down, like Chow, that I have told, like, if you hear about Hands and Biscuit not through one of your friends, you should question that friendship.
Right.
Like, Hands and Biscuit's one of those places that, like, you tell your friends about,
right.
Because and we all do this. Like, referral business is more about you than it is actually about. That's why you say, hey, go watch this movie,
right?
Because you want that person to experience what you experience.
Absolutely.
And I do the same thing. I'm like, man, if I care about somebody, I'm telling them about Hands and Biscuit because it's such a fantastic experience.
Good. We have fun every day.
So I hope that's a validation for you guys.
Absolutely. We love to hear encouragement.
But, Sean, how did you hear about Hands and Biscuit?
You, I think.
Yeah. See, we're friends.
There you go.
But in all honesty, like I have, like if I take someone out to go show homes, I've stopped and said, hey, you're looking over here, like someone was looking at a rehab place in Park Place. So have you heard of Hands and Biscuit? They're like, no. And it's like, we are going to stop right now and we're going to go get a Hands and Biscuit. And I'm pretty sure they retain them as a client.
Nice.
But it's one of those things that, like, you guys have probably grown because an enormous amount of it is referral.
Yeah, a lot of word of mouth. Yep.
I'm sure plenty of people look it up on Yelp and see the reviews,
right.
But I would venture to say at least half, if not more, of your business is all word of mouth.
Keep it going.
You guys have been kicking ass.
That's right.
So, simple menu. So sweet potatoes. What's up? Why sweet potatoes? Where did that come from?
Again, a good Dave question, but I'm going to do my best to paraphrase.
Sure.
So
go ahead.
There's more nutrition in a sweet potato than a regular white potato. It gave a little bit of distinction of color and a little bit of better flavor profile. So that's really where he was going.
There's a little bit of a sweetness there.
Yeah.
And not terribly like powerful, but there's a sweetness there that you wouldn't have in, say, just a buttermilk biscuit.
Right. And there's also a little brown sugar. So that helps with the sweetness.
We won't tell anybody. I would say, at what point, we have 30 minutes? 20? All right, we're going to keep going. What point, how long have you guys been in business now?
6 years.
So 6 years. Was there a point within there that you guys said, I think we got this? Like, we've made it. Like, holy crap.
The question should be, will there be a point?
Well, I mean, you have the second place open, right?
Right.
So that's validation.
Yes,
right? Proof of concept is there, and you have the second opening. But, like, there had to be somewhere, like, it was no longer just like, I hope this is going to work.
Right. I think even passing 1 year, I think, really was sort of like, okay, this is going to continue to work and isn't going to be just a complete flash in the pan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Next question would then, I guess, where's it going? What do you guys have a
vision? To the moon, man.
Is it? I mean, so like Taste is a good example, right?
Yep.
Taste started as one, and now I think they have like 10 places here locally.
Something like that.
They just opened their first one in Richmond,
Yep.
which is a big deal. And Rob, I know Rob. I mean, he started with Borgia.
Right.
Fantastic guy. I really enjoy him. But like they started off as like, all right, we're gonna make one work. Now we're gonna do 2. Now we're gonna do 3. And I think he I don't know if he has vision necessarily. I'm not gonna speak on his bet. Sorry, Rob, if I'm talking out of turn here. To potentially go national, but obviously he wanted to go to Richmond. Do you guys have kind of like, I don't know, maybe we'll do 50 stores, like if 50 stores becomes a thing and we become like an East Coast phenomenon, is that something that you're open to?
We're definitely not done. We've been actually for 9 months or so looking for more Southside locations, and are hot on the heels of trying to figure that out. So yeah, I think certainly in the near future, more local locations, and then from there we'll probably scale more rapidly. We'll see what combination.
I mean, Dirty Buffalo just did their franchising just recently.
There you go.
So I think it'd be awesome to see more places. You know, Dirty Buffalo, you guys, Taste, who I don't know if Taste will ever franchise, but like it's, for me, it's like almost an area like of pride. Like I've been here for 15 years. I've seen a ton of change. I was here when our first brewery came out. And like I get a little bit of like, man, like Hampton Roads is cool now.
There we go.
We're awesome. Like we have Handsome Biscuit, we got Dirty Buffalo.
So, well, we'll see if we can help validate the area
for my sake.
You're right.
It's all about me. And then so I this is a new one I'd like to introduce to is what would you say, just as a fun personal one, do you have a favorite book?
A favorite book?
Anything. It can be business. It could be like Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You'll Go. It can be anything.
It wouldn't be business. That is a really good one. And on the fly,
just off, what's your gut say? Like
Where the Red Fern Grows.
Okay, all right. What about a movie? Can be recent, can
Mary
be old.
Poppins.
Solid pick.
The old one.
Cool. All right, so we end every episode with, one, do you have anything that you want to tell the people? In particular, do you have a message besides, hey, come to this location because there's a lot more seating? Any message?
No specific message, no.
All right, tell us a little more about this giveaway. What are we doing here?
So we're doing a $100 giveaway, and we got a couple bottles of sauce that we're.
Do we have our sauce here?
Cool. I think we do. Here's one of them. This is our house-made Lupo sauce.
Okay, so tell us about that.
It's very secret, although the ingredients are written on the bottom. Yeah, so it's made from a fermented hot pepper paste, a Korean paste. That's kind of what gives the spice. Some wildflower, honey, garlic, salt, and pepper. A few other things in there. Really, it's not a thump your chest hot sauce. It's got a lot of flavor.
Okay.
So yeah,
the point is to bring flavor out and
right.
To it.
It's not a competition. It's more of like adding to a dish.
I've definitely had hot sauces that feel like a competition. Right. And I don't feel.
Did you win?
No, I lose pretty badly. So $100 gift card giveaway. Just like any time, it's going to be comment. Maybe we'll say, what's your favorite sandwich here at Handsome Biscuit?
Yeah.
If you'll share, then you'll be entered in, and in about 2 weeks we will draw it. So I think that's it, right?
Sounds great.
I Love Norfolk Show, episode 4.
Dan the Man.
That's a wrap.